I started out with this Octagon nightstand. I actually was looking for something like this. When I found it, I was happy, but as usually, I don't find pieces in pairs of two. So I took what I can get. It was free, and I began to work. The problems that came about here, it had some cracks where I'm dabbing, and it needed to be filled in. So I thought I would just get started anyways and continue with the wood filler of choice, as I would determine later with much trial and error. On hand, I had 4 good options to choose from. Before I get to that, let me explain what's going on here. Right here, I made a whitewash with some paint and water. I didn't measure anything out. I just found a good consistency that I liked. I would wipe it onto the piece here. If it was too much, I'd wipe some away. If it was too little, I would just leave it on there straight to dry, and it would change the color to this light tan beige color that I was going for. My original intention was to lighten up the wood. I didn't want to have a dark piece or stain it with a dark color. I didn't want to bleach it. I just wanted it lighter. For the remaining sides that aren't wood, I just put down some primer and would paint it later. Moving on. Okay, let's start with the ease of opening these containers. Here I have Minwax wood filler. I have a Dry Dex spackle. I have JB Kwikwood putty, which looks kind of interesting. And lastly, with the can opener, I have Bondo wood filler with a cream hardener, which is kind of sticky, but mind you, all of these were previously used and open at some point, requiring a little extra work for some. For example, this Minwax wood filler needed some water, which needed to be worked in a little bit. It did give me some trouble. It had dried out on its own. I find that using saran wrap between this box and the lid would be helpful. So let's get going with this and get this on the nightstand. The more I mix this, the easier it was to get in on the nightstand into the cracks. I'll give this some time to dry and move on to the next product. As you notice, it does leave some residue, but it rinses off pretty well. This Dap Dry Dex was pretty nice and creamy. It wasn't even dried out, even though it had stayed in the package much longer than the Minwax wood filler. This is my first time using Dry Dex on furniture. This was much more easy to mold than the sandy Minwax. Of course, it left my fingers a mess, but I was really surprised how easy it came off with water. For the Kwikwood, I did have to mix it by hand, but I couldn't take off points or add points for this because it actually wasn't that much of a hassle. Some would even enjoy this part. What was more bothersome is just not knowing how much you would need for what project, and once you've mixed it, you'd have to throw the rest of the mix portion away, so don't mix all of it at once. As far as the application, the Kwikwood did what I was expecting, and the cleanup was pretty easy. There wasn't any sticky mess on my fingers. I just wiped away what I needed to. Now for the Bondo wood filler, I definitely needed 2 hands for this. I learned the hard way, you don't want to touch this too much with your fingers. It is very difficult to get off. Unlike the other wood filler choices that I had used, this product needs a lot more attention. a lot more materials, starting off with that can opener, and now you need either a piece of cardboard, or here I used paper and tape, which was not the best idea. I didn't tape down both sides, so I struggled with it a little bit. When I use the blue hardener tube, it's hard to really estimate how much to actually use, and I always forget to mix it. So I start and then I stop to mix it and then add some more, which causes me to just waste some of it. So far, this one is not my favorite for small projects. As I finished up here, anything that had gotten Bondo on it, I just threw away, and added one more tool to my list when I used Bondo. The one thing I did like is it did harden pretty quick, if that's what you're looking for. The Minwax here takes about 15 minutes, the Dry Dex an hour or 5 hours depending on the project. For this little, it was probably about an hour. The Kwikwood was about 15 minutes, but in order to paint and sand, I'm sure all these products you have to wait much longer. Although the Bondo required a bunch of extra tools, I do really enjoy it for bigger projects when I need something that's gonna dry hard quickly. As far as sanding goes, I didn't find any deal breakers, but I did make a final decision on which method I chose. Later on, I did go over everything with Dry Dex to fill in any sunken holes or loose spots that I did miss. I painted over the Dry Dex, added a clear top coat, painted the hardware gold, and I was done. Thanks for watching.